Making Life Juicy. I have an incredible guest with me today. Her name is Jennifer Toof. And I've known Jennifer for a long time since she was very little.
Yeah.
But we're talking today. She's going to give us some information about addictions and some facilities that you work with. And then also we'll touch on prison reform and things that are happening locally. So we're in Pennsylvania, and yeah. Jennifer, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
It's taken long enough.
I know,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So we're in my dining room, and I had to get Ron, had taken over the dining room with work, so I had to get him out. We're talking about him. So how long have you been in a counselor for addiction?
Right, so to give a little bit of background about me, right now I'm working on my master's degree in clinical mental health counseling from the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. Before that, I got, it's a mouthful. Before that,
No, it's just that she's so smart. She's so smart.
I have my bachelor's degree in psychology from Northeastern University. Between that, I've been working in the addictions field. So I did my undergraduate internship at a facility in Media, Pennsylvania, and then I worked at an outpatient facility in Broomall, Pennsylvania until earlier this year.
Okay. Wow. Whatever got you into this? Because this is not an easy,
It's not, no, it's not.
emotionally, you know? It
No,
can't
and I
be.
don't think that any person working in the mental health field finds it very easy, whether you're working with addictions or not. But when you're working with addictions in particular, there's a lot of death. There's a lot of death. What started me out in it was I was just kind of thrown into it with my undergraduate internship, and back then I didn't know really what it meant. I didn't know people that were struggling. Since then, and that was longer ago than I'd like to admit, but since then I've lost countless friends and loved ones to the disease of addiction. It takes 130 people a year in
Wow.
Pennsylvania.
Wow.
In Pennsylvania alone. Addiction and the opioid epidemic in specific is it's the biggest public health crisis in the state, according to the state. It's now the leading cause of accidental death in the country. It just topped automobile accidents.
Wow.
It's comparable to the AIDS epidemic.
Oh my God.
It's really affecting everyone.
Wow. Oh my God, that's just tragic.
Yeah.
So, why did you get into this? What exactly?
Yeah, so I mean, basically that's it. Just seeing it happen, and you can't sit back and just be an observer.
So
I think that having that background in me, it kind of pushed me. It was my calling that I need to get off of the sidelines and kind of address this a little bit.
Yeah. Good God. I don't know how you do it. How do you debrief? And then we'll get back. How do you just debrief?
So there's a lot of things that you can do when you're working in the field, or just when you're going through tough times with tough people in general. One tip that one of my advisors gave me that I think is really helpful for anyone is after a really challenging session, wash your hands.
That's nice.
Wash your
That's
hands,
good.
and it's a physical cleansing, but it's also a mental cleansing. I am ridding myself of what I just heard, what I just experienced, and I'm ready for something new. And also just practicing good self-care, which I know you know.
Right. Wow. I'm going to grab my notes.
Yeah.
Our cheat sheets.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the stigmas, because a lot of people, which probably they probably stay in the addiction, in the trap of it because of the stigmas as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm also working with a great local organization called the Haverford Alliance for Drug Awareness, known by its acronym HADA. And the motto is Stop the Stigma, and I actually have a nice little wristband on right now, so it says Stop the Stigma.
Okay.
Yeah. anything. No, this is yours now.
Oh, good, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so the stigma, like you said, it really propels the addiction and it hides the addiction and it keeps it in the shadows, which isn't helping anyone, right? It's making it worse. Shame that I have, I'm an addict.
Right.
That's not a good emotion to feel. So when you have that feeling of shame, you have the thought, I'm not worthy. I'm a loser, I'm a failure, and how do you cope with those feelings and those thoughts? You keep using.
Right.
And that makes everything worse. So how do you interrupt that?
Right.
You know, you have somebody come in and say, it's okay, you're not a loser. You know, this isn't something to be ashamed of. This is a disease that doesn't discriminate. It affects people from Radnor to Upper Darby.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know, it's
all walks of life.
Cheerleaders to, firemen.
Right. Well, look at the celebrities,
Yeah.
with all the money and yet,
Right.
still commit suicide from it.
And especially like we were saying with the opioid epidemic that's killing people left and right. The stigma related to opioids, which is heroin and synthetic opiates prescription medications and heroin. There's such a stigma around that because that's like the really bad thing that we don't say. We don't say our kids are doing heroin, but our kids are doing heroin. We need to say that to stop it and to stop that stigma. So now we said it.
Wow.
Yeah. Heavy stuff on the Ingrid.
It is heavy
show.
stuff. It is, but it's really great that you're doing this. People need this.
Right, and about how to, again, great organization, specifically what we do, in addition to trying to stop the stigmas, education, outreach, scholarship. Insurance does not cover the cost of staying in a sober living facility, and that can be really pricey, especially for people, right, who are addicted and don't have that money or don't have family support. So I had a scholarship will cover the first 2 weeks at a sober living facility for current or former Havertown residents.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So if you know anybody or you yourself, just look up HADA if you're local or not.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's heavy stuff. Goodness, I can't imagine. God, it's when you hear some people, and I know on Twitter somebody said the other day, I've been an addict, and I'm just going to come out right now, and say I've been an addict, I'm recovering, and I'm not doing it anymore. And it's like, people are very supportive.
Yeah, I mean the tides are starting to change. That people are more and more recognizing it as the disease that it is, but it took a long time for the medical community and then general public to label it as a disease.
Yeah.
And by disease, that means that it changes the brain chemistry and that there's a genetic component to it.
Wait, that's beyond the drug, not the drug that's changing. We know the drug will change the chemical things, but it's the disease in the brain that is causing the addiction. Is that what you're saying?
So there's, addiction is 50% genetics and 50% environment.
Okay.
So there is a genetic brain component to it, but then also in the brains of addicts, it changes the brain.
Right.
Just like any disease changes the body or the brain. But it's one of the only diseases that there's a stigma attached to.
Yeah.
People who develop skin cancer from tanning, we don't say, oh gosh, they have skin cancer.
Yeah.
Ingrid's cousin has skin cancer. But we might.
I hope they
start saying right.
Still.
But some people still whisper, oh, so and so's an addict, and it's kind of on the hush hush, and there's that labeling, that judgment, as if it's a choice.
Right.
And we don't do that with other diseases that maybe did start with a choice.
Yeah. That's so sad. So HADA. That's in Haverford?
It is, yes.
Okay, Haverford Alliance for Drug Awareness.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I have a Facebook page.
Oh, there you go, on Facebook. Okay, so, let's jump down to here and talk about why advocacy is so important to be involved in.
So I think advocacy is important for anyone to really just get out there and fight for what you believe in, what's important to you, what matters, and just to do something about that.
Mm-hmm.
As a person in the counseling field, I think that I specifically feel an ethical obligation, right, to advocate for socio-political change that's going to affect society.
Mm-hmm.
And especially it's the marginalized populations that are affected by certain issues.
Right. Can you go into detail a little bit more about that?
Yeah.
Here's another curveball.
Well, counselors, I think we're sometimes the first people to notice how systemic issues affect individual people, whether it's stigma, racism, anything, how that affects one person. A counselor's going to see that,
Mm-hmm.
and then they can either just help that one person deal with it.
Right.
Like, here's how you can deal with what's going on in the world, or we can actually try to change the world.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. So, when you say marginalized, you're talking about
People,
poor or
anyone who doesn't have those privileges that.
right.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's people from marginalized races, incomes, women,
Yeah.
transgender community, homosexual community.
Yeah. What's interesting, and so that you say this, because in Pennsylvania, it's very. I go anywhere, we have the Wawa, that's a store, a convenience store, a gas station now. But I see everybody, all different kinds of people, from everywhere, It's so, we just kind of embrace different, there's, not like out in the Midwest, where you don't have that. So we're lucky to have all different kinds of people here.
We're a diverse little area.
Yeah. And I don't really see the things that I, have seen happen out there. I don't see that happen.
It doesn't mean they're not happening, because they absolutely
do.
do.
Right. But
And even in progressive areas,
yeah.
it's happening.
Yeah. Speaking out is very important. Helping people who are getting bullied in one way or another due to the stigmas is very important. Plus, in the end, I think we'll feel better about ourselves if we do say something, and find a safe person to go to talk to about these things.
Yeah.
So another thing that you work with is prison reform.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the facility that you're working with?
So there's two organizations mostly that I have been involved with. So for, I don't even know how many years it's been, but say at least 5-6 years, I've been with an amazing international organization called Just Detention International, and their website is justdetention.org. What they do is they seek to...
Wait, detention.
Detention.
Just
Just detention.org.
Okay, I thought first you said attention, it's detention.
Just
right.
detention. Pay
Okay.
attention.
I'm sorry.
Just detention.
sorry, okay, I'm
So
on
they
it.
seek to end all forms of sexual abuse behind bars. Because like we were just saying about the marginalized populations,
Mhm.
doesn't get much more marginalized. The people, who we as a society push away are the people who are behind bars.
Right.
And especially who are the victims of sexual assault behind bars? Women and members of the LGBT community. Predominantly, that's not to say that men are not victims, straight men, absolutely they are. Predominantly, it's further marginalized individuals.
Right.
So what Just Detention does is they do a lot of advocacy. They work to change legislation. What I've particularly done with them is their holiday letter writing campaign. I think you did some letters.
No, I didn't. No, I'm
You're
sorry.
gonna have to
I
next
will
year.
now. Right.
So it's just a very
We're
small.
on camera. I've got
I
to
know,
do
she's,
it now.
she's promising now.
Yeah.
It's just a very small act, but it really makes a big difference. It's just little handwritten cards to survivors of sexual assault behind bars.
Mm-hmm.
It's a message of hope. Someone's thinking of you.
I remember you posted something on Facebook about somebody had responded.
Right.
Was,
Yeah.
What did they say? It was really touching.
Someone who had received the card said, "Hey, this meant so much to me. It was someone out there telling me that I mattered. It was the strength to keep on going another day." And it seems like such a little thing, just a note, but it makes a difference.
Wow. So this is something that everyone can do as well.
Absolutely. So the card writing, letter writing campaign is around the winter holidays every year. And anyone can do it. It's free. It's easy. Go to their website. But all year round, they are doing other amazing things. Like I said, this letter writing thing is just a very small piece of what this organization does. So you can go to justdetention.org. You can donate. You can learn more about what they do and how to help.
Wow, that's excellent. Have you been to the facility that you...
So they don't really have a physical facility that I know of. They send it out to different prisons and jails across the country.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
We're gonna have you write some cards next year.
Okay. What exactly do you write?
Oh my! So it's tough because, like I said, I've been doing this for years and years.
Oh wait, and now you are like you're the one who does the most.
Since day one, I've been the number one. Well, since I started, I've been the number one letter writer. I did 1,000 cards last year.
That's amazing.
But it's not that amazing because I just sit in front of the TV and write, Google inspirational quotes and
oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you can write whatever you think is, motivational or inspirational or just something from the heart.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder what they're doing to keep these people safe, though, once they've been assaulted.
Not a lot.
Once,
Not
and
a lot.
I would think not.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about these private facilities, the private prisons.
Right.
So why is that a bad thing? I'll keep my own 2 cents out.
No, you can certainly jump in as much as you want. So George W. Hill Correctional Facility in Glen Mills, Pennsylvania is the only private prison in the state. And the fact that it's private means that there's a lack of transparency there. And they're profiting off of the incarceration of individuals.
Right. Which gives them no incentive to reform, no incentive to protect the inmates from these kinds of assaults.
Absolutely. There's no incentivization for treatment, for rehabilitation. There's so many stories you hear from former inmates, again, about the sexual assault. There's a very high rate of suicide at George W. Hill. You just hear awful stories about the conditions there.
And that the suicide rate speaks volumes for...
I've heard parents talk about, hearing their kids die there.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's awful.
It's sad. So that's the other local organization, this one that I'm working with, and it's the Delco Coalition for Prison Reform, Delco CPR, and they work specifically for the deprivatization of George W. Hill Correctional Facility. and they want to urge the Geo Group, which owns it, to make it public.
Do you think that'll ever happen?
I think it will.
Really?
I think it will.
Okay.
I think it's absolutely going to happen. I think it's going to take pressure,
Okay.
which the
Because greed is a powerful force.
it is,
We're
and the
seeing,
changing.
especially
You told me not to get political,
No.
but
I know. I'm sorry.
the changing of the tide,
Uh-huh.
so to say, is going to work in favor of deprivatization.
Okay.
And the continued pressure that the large presence that Delco CPR has is already intimidating the private owners.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Because our tax dollars, there's another good point, is our tax dollars that you were writing me the
Right.
other day, is that tax dollars are going to these private prisons. So not only are they profiting off of the inmates, they're also profiting off of us.
Yeah, you're paying for it.
So, yeah, there's all kinds of wrong
It's
with
in
that.
everybody's best interest to change this.
Yeah. So, yeah, gosh. So just winding things up and wrapping it up, get out there. If you see, speak up, speak out. If you're not the kind of person, if you're more reserved, then find an organization that you can talk to.
And there's certainly things like, that's how I got started with the Just Attention card writing campaign, because I saw it advertised online. You know, write your cards. You don't have to spend money to help with this charity. You don't have to go out somewhere.
Right.
So there's things you can do from your home, whether it's calling policymakers, writing letters. There's a lot of things you can do. If you believe in something, go for it. You know, don't let your passion just stay bottled up inside.
Yeah, and helping people is good,
Yeah.
and it'll make you feel better.
Yeah. And it'll help them.
Yeah, and it'll help them too. And if it's you who has the problem, there are people who respect the problem and respect you, and remember that it's a disease, it's not a choice.
It's not something to be ashamed of, you know.
Right.
And there are compassionate people out there who are more than willing to help you.
Good. Jennifer, thank you so much for
Ingrid,
being on
thank
my
you.
show today. You've been wonderful. Yay, thank you.
Thank you.
Aw. Well, keep doing it. Keep doing what you're doing, and you're just like rocking it. You
Oh,
really
thank
are.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us on Living It Up, Making Life.